again, folks. Specky here again. Thank you for joining me on this relatively nice day, actually. It's a change for Scotland. Anyway, if you watched my last video, it was just a point of view video of me using snow foam on my car for the very first time. And this is a follow-up video from that, from a couple of questions I got. Believe it or not, this is actually the second time I made this video. I made this exact same video yesterday, washing my own car. However, the audio didn't work, so I'm redoing it again today on my wife's car. So, the questions I got asked, I showed the video to some friends and family, and they came up with a great question, actually. What actually is snow foam? And should I be using it? Is it something that's worth my money and my time? And I thought that's a great point, because you know, everyone sees snow foam. You know, if you're at all interested in car cleaning, you're probably going to know what snow foam is, but there's a lot of people who don't know what snow foam is. So I'm going to try and break it down as simply as I possibly can. Snow foam is a car shampoo. That's the very, very absolute basics of it. The difference between a snow foam and something like this is just a basic car shampoo stuff that you add to a bucket of water. The snow foams are designed to be very sudsy, very foamy when applied with something like this, my snow foam lance. There are also another couple of options that you can use, and I'll go over those later. But by applying them with that, it creates a very foamy, very thick covering of foam on your car. So that's what it is. The next is the why and the how combined. Why would you want it? Why would it be of interest to you? Did I hear a peacock around here? I don't know. Basically, if you are interested in car cleaning and you don't want to worry about adding scratches to your car, then snow foam is essentially a pre-wash. That's where you find that the professionals use it. They use it as a pre-wash. My wife's car at the moment, this one is not particularly dirty right now. I mean, it's a silver car, so you don't see the dirt quite as much, but it is there. So a professional, well, first of all, they'd shoot me for doing that. Don't wipe your fingers across it, for goodness sake. The idea is that a professional doesn't want to add any scratches wherever possible. Maybe you're someone who has a show vehicle and you want to make sure your paint looks absolutely perfect all the time. Washing your car is the opportunity that happens to be the thing that provides the most opportunity for scratches, if that makes sense. When you wash your car, if your car is really dirty and you go at it with a normal shampoo and a sponge, well, a sponge is a bad idea because it's just going to move the dirt. It doesn't absorb it, it's just going to move it across your paint, and it's going to take any of that dirt and it's going to rub it across your paint, increasing the chances of scratches and swirl marks. So by having a pre-wash, the foam sits on your car, and it's designed to sit and dwell for a short while. Why? Well, the idea there is, what it'll do is it will soften some of the heavier dirt deposits on your car. It will, the detergent, the active detergent in the car shampoo will break down some of the dirt in there. And because it's a foam, it tends to be clingy. And what you'll find is that if there's any light dirt and dust on the car, that light dirt and dust will be grabbed by the foam as gravity does its thing and draws the foam off the car. Some of that dirt will be, and this is a word I like, what I've heard, it will be encapsulated by the snow foam and dragged off the car. So you'll tend to find, if you've got a really dirty car, you cover it with snow foam, after a while you'll see on the ground that as it's drawing off the car, the foam has dirt in it. You'll be able to see the dirt in the foam. So it's taking as much dirt off as possible, and it's loosening as much dirt as possible. Then, when you've let it dwell for about 5 minutes, you grab a pressure washer and you spray it off. And that's going to shift everything else, or I say everything else, as much as possible before you ever have to touch it with a wash mitt. Never use a sponge. If you're interested in learning more about that, go and look up a 2-bucket wash, and look up anywhere like a Detailing World or something like that, and see what they say about using sponges. They will murder you if they see you using a sponge. So what they're doing is they're making sure that as much dirt as possible has come off the car before they ever make physical contact with the car. And that means that there's less chance of adding any scratches and swirls. So that's what snow foam is in a nutshell. Okay? So, I say, because I did this yesterday, I still have some snow foam in my bottle here. I gave the car, my own car, two coats of snow foam. That's what I like to do. Now, when it comes to applying snow foam in your car, some people like to apply it when the car is wet, some when it's dry. Some people will attack the car with a pressure washer first and get the worst of the dirt off first. And some people will just put it on dry, like me. Now, I've tried both. I prefer going on dry simply because the foam will have a better opportunity to stick to a dry vehicle. And I want the foam to hang around on the car for as long as possible to do the most soaking and the most breaking down of the dirt as possible. So when I come to use my pressure washer and get rid of everything, everything has had a better chance of being softened. But it's a personal preference thing. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. There's just your way of doing it. So I think I'm all set up here for the pressure washer. Did I switch it on? I didn't. There we go. Actually, I'm gonna let the air out. Okay. So very quickly, I'm gonna set my angle there. I've got my mixture. Okay. Now, in case you're wondering, snow foams, I've tried quite a few. I've even tried this. You may have been tempted to try this, or want to know. A normal car shampoo, if you put that in there and try and use it like a snow foam, this particular one does nothing. This has got no sudsing, bubbling to it at all. So all I did was squirt on a diluted car shampoo solution onto the car. Didn't do anything. But I have heard some people telling me that this poor boy's Super Slick and Suds works quite well in a pressure washer because it's designed to be very sudsy. But the one I use, it happens to be super cheap budget. This stuff here, it cost me about £9, and it's 5 litres, and it works really well. Honestly, it does exactly what I want it to do, and it's cheap. So you can go and buy expensive ones if you want. You can buy cheap ones. Go figure out what's good for you. But I started at the budget end. I did buy a more expensive one as well, and I tended to find that they both worked exactly the same. If you're going to use this and you feel that you're not getting a thick enough solution, just add a higher concentration of the snow foam versus the water. Make it richer, that's all. I was struggling to get a really good thick foam. I was only putting maybe about an inch or so in the bottle, and it really, even though I had this cranked all the way open to get the most foam out of it, it still wasn't enough for me. So I doubled it, same, put the rest of water, and wow, it made a huge difference. I got so much more foam. Can't speak, sorry. Alright, so we're going to give this car a quick coat, and you're going to see what it does. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. Just go in lines. Straight lines tends to be the best way. It doesn't matter if you start at the bottom, start at the top. I prefer to start at the top. That's really about it. So make sure this is right. You can see that's pretty thick. You can see it's sticking to the car quite nicely there. You can see it drawing off, and it's going to try and carry away any dust that sits on top of the car. Is going to go first, and dust will be grabbed by the foam. On the roof, not so much. If you're sitting on a flat surface, it's just going to sit. It's not going to go anywhere. But you can see it very slowly starting to come off the car there. So obviously, the thicker your foam is, the longer it's going to take to draw off. So we'll go around the rest of the car here. Oh. And that was the rest of the air. Come on, little pressure washer. Oh, we've got nothing. What's going on? Oh, I've got a kink in the hose. That's what it was. Okay. I do really need to get a longer hose for this thing. The hose for this lance really sucks. It's just too short to get around the whole car. I'm gonna have to buy a longer one, and it kinks really easily. Stop it. Okay, carry on. We're running low. Okay, so the car is basically every panel, every part of the car has had a soak. Wing mirrors. And be warned, if you use snow foam on a windy day, you will very likely get absolutely covered in snow foam if you happen to be downwind. I have been there. I have done that. Okay. So basically the car has had a coat of snow foam, and you can see some take longer than others to come off. You know, again, depends how thick you want it. I could just make it a little bit thicker again if I really wanted to, but it's okay for now. It does the job. Now, because the car wasn't very dirty, I can't show you any of the dirt. But if this car was really dirty, and I've seen it on my car before when it was absolutely filthy over the winter time, and you could see rings of dirt where all the drips pile up in, just all these rings of dirt that the foam was pulling off. Again, you've got a really dirty wheel here, just covered in brake dust, and it does soften brake dust to an extent, but it's brake dust. It's going to need something maybe a little bit more heavy duty. Although actually, if you can just look here, you can see some of it, these black lines, some of that foam is drawing that brake dust off. So there is some loose brake dust on there, so it is taking some of it off. Again, the more you take off the car to begin with, the less you have to fight with, and the less chance there is, especially if it's on the paintwork, that you're going to scratch anything. So, well, I've got a task of with the wrong teeth in today. We've got a little bit left. I'm going to crank it wide open, and we're just going to give it a last blast. Oh, and I happen to be getting it in my face. Almost gone. Tiny bit left. And that's basically gone. Yep. There, that's just water. There we go. So that's snow foam in a nutshell. That's roughly why you would want to use it, is a pre-wash, and that's how the professionals use it, is as a pre-wash. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, the other options of devices, how to apply it to your car. There are three main types that I've found. If there's anything else that I've missed, I'm sure someone's going to tell me. But the three main products to use. This is definitely the most popular. This is the Lance bottle, snow foam gun, whatever. There's many different names for it. And this, I'll break them down. I'll give you the costs as well involved, or at least as far as I'm aware of them. This cost me £20. Now this requires that you already own a pressure washer. I do, so that's fine. And obviously with that pressure washer you're going to have a hose. So there are two prerequisites here already. But if you already have those, it's a cheap way of getting into it. You have to make sure that the adapter is the correct type to fit to your pressure washer. So this is the type for going onto a Nilfisk, and there are different ones for Karchers and for other petrol powered ones and so on and so on. There's lots of different types. So you have to specify which one you want. However, they can be changed. This unit here is a replaceable unit. So this comes off and it can be replaced with a different type. So if you change your pressure washer, so if I got rid of my Nilfisk and bought a Karcher, I could buy the correct adapter to fit to this, or I could buy a converter which goes on here, and you know what I'm talking about. So these are really good though, because as you saw, you can lay down a thick covering of foam in a very short amount of time. You can see that you just cover a panel in no time at all. You can cover the whole side of the car in just a couple of seconds. And as you saw, it's also a nice thick covering. But I say the downsides are you need some prerequisites. If you don't already have a pressure washer and a hose, this is no use to you. The other two, there is a pressure spray bottle. I'm going to put a picture or maybe a little video clip here to show you. Now they're great if you don't live near a hose, a water supply. Say you live in a block of flats, an apartment building, and there's no hose and there's no way for you to get any water to spray onto your car. Then the pressure bottles, you fill them up with the same idea, a set amount of snow foam and the rest of water. Connect it. There's no connecting with the pressure one, sorry. Just screw it up, pump it up to create pressure, and then spray it on your car. Now I say that's really good if you don't live near a water supply. And it's very, very portable. You can take it anywhere. If you're going to go to a car show and you want to wash your car before you show it properly for a quick dust off, then it's a great idea. The drawback is that it doesn't cover so well. I mean, it's a very small device, so it has a small spray size, so it doesn't cover the area anywhere near as quickly. And nowhere near as thickly either, unless you go over it quite a few times and put some layers of foam onto it. But then you're using it up more, and it's not as good. But price wise, it tends to be, I saw them for about £20, same price as the Lance that I've got there. The other option is the in-betweener, is what some people call a snow foam gun, some people call it a snow foam cannon. Shut up, dogs. And the idea with those, they connect to your hose, so you do need a hose first, but that is probably cheaper than buying a pressure washer as well. But lots of people already have a hose at their home. And same idea, snow foam and water in the bottle, connected to a hose, and the hose, the pressure of the water coming through your hose will spray it out onto your car. Now that's good because you'll be able to cover the car in a relatively short time, similar to this. The drawback is, because it's using the water to force it through at a lower pressure than a pressure washer would, you will find that the coverage is thin, it's wet. It's a very wet foam compared to the pressure washer type. Now that can be good, because if your car is really dirty, if you've been out off-roading or something and your car is absolutely filthy, then having a wet foam might actually work really well, because it will soak the mud and the dirt and make it easier to move. But because the foam is also very wet, it's not going to hang around on the car for as long. It's going to disappear more quickly. So as a foam carrier, it's not as good, but to get the car soaked and to make that water stick around a little bit longer and help it soak, it can be a good idea. So it's the in-betweener. And I saw those starting around about £30. These are all UK prices. and this was all before the Brexit nonsense, so who knows, probably by the next week it cost about £50. Anyway, that's basically it. Once you've let the foam dwell on your car and you've let it run off and do its thing, you can just pressure wash it off as you saw before, but the idea will be that this will be able to move much more easily. Another interesting fact, this is going to be a really long video now, much longer than I planned. When it comes to rinsing the car off or spraying it off with your pressure washer, I used to do it from the top and work down, because I was always told when washing a car, you rinse it from the top down, so that all the water moves more of the bubbles and foam from lower down the body. But somebody put a video on, a local detailing company put a video on saying you should start from the bottom, because you can see where you've done already. You could have a mental map in your head if you want, and that's what I do often now. But if you start from the bottom, you can see where you already blasted, and you know what's left to do. And that means that any of the dirt lurking under those areas hasn't been touched yet. Whereas if you do it from the top, by the time I'm halfway down the car, almost everything's missing from the bottom. So I suppose that's an idea. Or you could just be really meticulous and just make sure you go over everything, you know, just build up a mental map in your head. And that's what I tend to do, but that was their idea. I thought it was kind of interesting. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on it. Yeah, I'm not so keen. I would prefer to do it from the top, but I can see where they're coming from. It's an interesting idea. So that's it for now, folks. I'm done here. I'm going to rinse this car off, then I'm going to go and get 2 buckets and do a 2-bucket wash on the car and make sure it's nice and clean so that Harry indoors doesn't shout at me. If you liked the video, give it that. If you didn't like the video, give it that. If you want to ask me any questions, if you've got any comments, please leave them down below. I would love to hear from people, because my last video had like 2 comments, and I want to hear from people. I'd like to know that people are watching it, and I'd like to know what people think about the video. Is there anything you could suggest? Is there anything you want to see? Is there anything you want to know that I might be able to help you with? Is there anything that you could help me with? And so on and so on. That's all for now, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.